Been messing around with these diamond drag engravers for a couple of weeks. This was made by a company called MC Etcher, and it's a pretty good one. With these, the nice thing is you can chuck them up in your CNC, and as long as you set the depth and pressure correctly, they make a pretty clean line. I've used them extensively with this UV prefinished plywood. You can get this most of the local home centers. It's kind of expensive, considering it's just a low-grade plywood with a top coat on it. But most plywood right now is expensive anyway, so if you can get something with a step already done, sometimes it's enough in and of itself to make it worth the extra expense. You can see the cutter here kind of has a mind of its own as to what it fills in and when, but all it's really doing is dragging a scratch into that finish so that the later step later on will take effect. I think the total time for this entire process was about 40 minutes. And here it's already done. Here I'm going to score a line so that I can cut it out square. I just use a pencil and a square on this. Ended up making a mistake in this step, but later on you can see that. Just transfer the line so it's the entire length and then making the square edge on the far edge. I have this cheap track saw. I picked it up at one of the home centers here in town. I think I spent $200 and it came with a track that had cut a whole sheet of plywood. It's not the greatest, but it's what I could afford at the time. Unfortunately, I haven't had time or reason to upgrade the blade on the specific one. So you can see the result in this thin veneer on this cheap plywood is that it tore up the veneer pretty badly as I was doing the cross cut, even with that blade guard. You can see it's torn up here. It was bad enough I decided I'd try to fix that mistake. So I've seen a lot of other woodworkers use scoring to fix this kind of thing. So I cut this line with a utility knife and then did the same thing on the bottom side. Followed it up with the track saw and just cut just shy of the line with the track saw. Here you can see I made another mistake and I had to bring the line up even a little bit more. In the end, I cut it with that little track saw and it seemed to do pretty well. Didn't have any more veneer chipping up. Off camera, I did hit the edge of this with a sander, kind of round over the edge as it transitions to the veneer. And here, just cleaning up that little pencil line with just a paper towel. I actually didn't have anything on the paper towel at all, just wiping off that pencil line. And then I took a sponge brush and applied some gel stain. I've used this process before on a couple of different projects, and so just applying the gel stain to all the letters, letting it kind of sit in there. The gel stain seems to do better than regular stain. It doesn't bleed as much into the rest of the veneer. You can see it does kind of make a little bit of a mess here, but followed it up with a little bit of odorless mineral spirits here in a second. You can see that. That's what this is now, and that softens that stain enough to where you can pretty much get it off of the entire surface. There you have it. Fairly simple, easy project, and I think they turned out pretty well.